Good evening. Welcome to the special Planning Commission meeting, Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. I now call this meeting to order. Denise, will you please call roll?
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. Chairman Maloney,
Here.
Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Clement,
Here.
Commissioner Ledoux, Commissioner Moss,
Here.
Commissioner Souther,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Is that everyone?
Yep.
We do have a quorum. I suppose we should stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. No presentation, no approval of minutes tonight. Item 4A, Canyon City Comprehensive Plan, Picture Canyon City 2040. Applicants are City of Canyon City. And do we have a presenter?
We do have a presenter. Before I hand this over to Josh Coombs, some introductory remarks. We have arrived at kind of a milestone here. Those of you who were on Planning Commission at the time,
your microphone.
oh, sorry. Those of you who were on Planning Commission at the time will remember that last July, we had a joint Planning Commission City Council meeting where we kicked off the process of the update to not only the comprehensive plan, but the city's zoning, subdivision, and development regulations. And at that meeting, one of the things that John Houseseal, the principal from Houseseal Levine, pointed out was with a document like this, what planning ultimately boils down to is an assessment of where you are, an assessment of where you want to go, and then a set of recommendations or steps for how you get from here to here, A to B. This is the document that is summarizing all of this for us. And it's been a year's worth of effort of, getting public opinion and public input into this, having a series of focus group interviews, having a design charrette at the Abbey back in September, and then earlier this year, beginning with the presentation of various chapters associated with this code to jointly Planning Commission and City Council for your input and feedback after staff had taken a look at it as well. So we are now nearing the end of this process. This is the draft document, final version draft of the Canyon City Comprehensive Plan for 2040, Pathway to the Future. And we're very pleased. This is an important thing for the city to do. It hasn't been done in 20 years, and we're very eager to be able to have this document to show not just locally that there is an answer to the question of when is the city going to do this, what sort of a priority does this have. This is also a document that for the outside world says Canyon City as a community has thought about these issues and understands where they want their future to go. So with that in mind, let me hand it over to Josh and let him give you a little presentation on what's in here, and if you've got any questions at the end of that, we can entertain those. And we will be asking for a motion and a second to recommend what to do with this document going forward to council the night of June 21st.
Okay. Let me open the public hearing officially. So I open the public hearing. The provisions of the City Municipal Code, and in particular Title 17 thereof, the subdivision regulations and the comprehensive plan of the City of Canyon City are incorporated into the record of the hearing as if set forth verbatim. Okay, so we are officially open.
Thank you. Thank you for having us tonight, and thank you to the commission, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you tonight. I'm going to start my screen share here. I just want to confirm that everybody can see what's on the screen. Yes,
we can.
Okay. And thanks again, Patrick. As usual, you did a wonderful job summing it up. I'm here tonight. I'm Josh Kuntz with House Levine Associates. Like Patrick mentioned, we've been working on this since July of last year. We're just getting close to the 1 year mark, and we're right on track, which is great. And also I have here tonight, John Hausiel is with us too, participating virtually, so he may chime in as we go along. So just right off the bat, I want to just say that this process has been great for the whole past year. We knew when John and I got there in July, we knew right away when the city tour was conducted in a off-road capable Jeep, and we got to sit in the back, that this was going to be a great project. And it really proved to be so. The collaborative process with council, with planning commission, with staff, great input from residents. It's all been a very positive and collaborative process throughout that I don't think we can say enough about working with Canyon City on this project. Incremental review of the document with planning commission and council has gone very well. And we received great input from the community, even through the whole pandemic. We kept thinking this thing was gonna, the pandemic was gonna end sooner, and it kept going. And we still had more than 725 touch points of engagement across the board, in person, online, through DIY kits, through stakeholder interviews. We were able to conduct a visioning workshop and a business workshop, and those all went very well. So we got a lot of community feedback, very positive for the project, and that went well. So tonight, I know this planning commission has been there throughout the process, reviewing things every step of the way. And I'm not going to go in detail over all the core elements that we've reviewed. I just want to recap some of what we've reviewed to date. I want to point your attention to what we've done since our last meeting, and then I want to just open the floor to questions. So I have a brief presentation where I'm going to do that. So for review to date, again, Patrick summed it up great just moments ago. The purpose of a comprehensive plan, it's a policy document for Canyon City. It's for use by anyone in the community, but especially useful to city officials, developers, business owners, to provide that fair certainty as you start to make decisions about future growth and development in your community. It focuses on some key areas like land use, housing, economic development, transportation, community character, parks, open space, and environmental features. And all comprehensive plans touch on these things, but this is takes a very Canyon City specific orientation to the comprehensive plan, and it's really tailored to this community. It helps inform your future decision making. This body, the city council as well, looks at emerging conditions and issues that could affect the city moving forward, provides that vision for the future of the community, and identifies the crucial steps toward getting there. So I just want to recap some of the core elements and some of the things that we've met with over the past year. So first off, we met to discuss the vision statement. This is an aspirational part of the plan, really communicates where Canyon City wants to go over the next 2 decades. In this document, the vision statement chapter is called Pathway to the Future. The vision statement's based on feedback from the various community outreach activities that we conducted, the visioning workshop, those key person interviews, business workshop, as well as our own research and review and analysis, the field work that we did, and our personal observations, our professional observations. The goals that you find in this chapter, they describe desired end results that the city can work toward. I think back when I was talking to you about the goals, I used the example of a 5-minute mile, which is something that's great, a great goal to work toward. And then it also has guiding principles in this chapter, which we'll discuss in a minute. For land use and development, this really is a centerpiece of the comprehensive plan. So if you were to point someone at one chapter to start with, this would be where you might direct them to start. The land use plan isn't a prediction. It's a map with supporting text, depicts what the community could look like in the future, generally where future land uses should locate, and helps make development decisions. And then the housing and neighborhoods section. This is a subsection of the land use plan, provides more detail and specific recommendations that are tied to housing areas on the map, framework specific recommendations, and it also provides citywide recommendations and policies for housing and neighborhoods. Overall, the aim of this chapter is to ensure that the quality housing is a staple of Canyon City. Continuing to go through the core elements, we discussed with this group with Planning Commission and Council, the Economic Development chapter, another subsection of the land use plan. Again, adds detail to the broader land use framework and provides specific recommendations tied to commercial, industrial, business areas on the map, with an emphasis on access to goods and services and employment areas that will meet the needs of the community going forward over the next couple decades. We got a little more detailed in the downtown and riverfront framework, very specific framework for a really important area for the community. This section provides new recommendations, and it also dovetails with some of your really recent planning efforts like your Arkansas Riverfront Master Plan and your Riverfront Mixed Use Zoning. The transportation and mobility chapter, all about getting around the community, no matter what mode of transportation you're using. Emphasis on ongoing collaboration with CDOT and with Fremont County and some of the jurisdictions that have impact on your road system. And it carries forward relevant recommendations, again, from previous planning efforts that are still active, such as the US 50 corridor plan. The community facilities and infrastructure core element examines local facilities and the infrastructure and utility side of the city, kind of the working side of the city that contributes to making Canyon City a great place to live. And the community character section, one that I really enjoyed working on, takes a look at the community character from the sort of four-pronged approach: arts and culture, historic preservation, image and identity, and tourism. So whether you're engaging with public art around the community, supporting local cultural institutions, some recommendations on how to improve the landscape of historic preservation, which is already great in Canyon City, and improve the image and identity, whether it's branding, marketing, supporting the built character, and building on the Main Street program. Those are all in this chapter. The parks, open space, and environmental features are covered in Chapter 8. Again, key components of quality of life within Canyon City. Whenever we were out talking to the public, we always heard that access to natural areas, whether it's mountain biking or easy access out your back door to the hogbacks, these are really important parts of quality of life within the community. Passive and active recreation for residents to spend time outdoors, get active, and enjoy the natural spaces that make the community great. And then this section also includes a piece on environmental features and resiliency. So the importance of being able to maintain that natural beauty and sense of place. So that pretty much covers that. That's all old news to this group. The core elements are something that we reviewed, and what we've been doing since then is making sure that we dialed in all the input that we received as we presented the draft core elements to Planning Commission, Council, and staff. Since our last meeting, we've been working across the board on organization and layout for the introductory sections, which are the planning context and the community outreach section. We finalized the guiding principles, which are found in the vision, goals, and objectives part of the plan. These really establish a thematic connection that sort of runs through the plan. They're not really new per se, but they sort of crystallize the direction of the plan across all the core elements. You could think of it as, what is the whole plan about if you had to boil it down to kind of 5 points. So prioritizing smart, compact, and contiguous development, building a livable community, celebrating Canyon City's unique identity, ensuring a stable and robust local economy, and becoming the nexus of recreational opportunities. And those guiding principles kind of transcend all of the core elements. And then throughout the document, we also made all the revisions and graphic updates to all the core elements based on the feedback from Planning Commission and Council. Some other things we've been doing, graphic updates throughout. One of the things that kind of came out of the process of meeting with Planning Commission and Council was the need to revise the urban growth boundary. So if the last time you saw the draft document, there was kind of a panhandle up to the northwest, that's been removed as part of a discussion with the joint group. And that's removed across the whole document on all the maps, and then also an expansion of the southern priority annexation area, which is down here in the south. And then we gave you a preview last time of what the implementation matrix would look like in the implementation chapter. But some of this content is newer for all of you. And so one of the things that we sometimes say is that when you get to adoption of the plan, implementation is what happens once the plan's adopted. That's when the real work begins. So implementing the plan, it's just as important as creating it. And it's going to depend on those good relationships and communication between citizens, business owners, other agencies. That's going to be critical as Canyon City moves forward and starts to implement the plan. So this matrix, you could kind of think of it as a index or a checklist for all the different recommendations that are found in the plan. So if you want to quickly find, outside of thumbing through a chapter, if you want to find where a specific recommendation is, this is where you would turn. It also identifies partnerships for completing some of those recommendations, partner organizations, and sets up funding sources and an approach to administration of the plan. And the presentation is brief, but I do want to focus on being able to answer any questions that you all may have. So I can stop my screen share, but I have a copy of the plan open here, which I can share if needed, or we can take questions now.
Okay, thank you. So, any commissioners have any questions at this point?
I have a couple of questions and or comments. You're talking about the graphic updates. We just had a first reading yesterday that rezoned 41 acres from 2203 Forge Road from light industrial to R1. And looking at some of the maps on page 18, 22, and 32 pages, it appears that that's reflecting light industrial. And I don't know, with it's got a second reading, whether we want to leave that as is or if we want to change that. That's just an observation. And like I said, that just came before the Planning Commission, and it was first reading last night with the City Council.
Yeah, that's a good question. If there's some colors we need to change on the map, that's something that we still do have the ability to do at this point. And we can discuss with staff if any of those need to be changed, kind of a last second tweak to the future land use map.
On page 64 with branding and marketing.
Should I share my screen to call up the actual plan here?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, just want to confirm that everybody can see that.
Right underneath, as a subtitle, we have promoting Canyon City as the gateway to the authentic West. And I believe that we had talked about maybe not making that as much of an emphasis as in the detailed description after that, that theme really never took off. Was that correct, Patrick?
My recollection is, yes, the council and planning commission and council were rather ambivalent about that because it was tried and didn't really find a lot of purchase with the public.
But the way to me, the way it's written, it appears that that's still a theme that they want to go forward with.
Yeah, I think we can, you're talking about this subheader right here.
Yes, correct.
I think we can certainly reword that.
Then I have just two more things. If you go to your action matrix on page 87, you've got 5A1 where it says conduct a feasibility study to determine the cost of infrastructure extension to the 8 Mile Royal Gorge area. And we have a B, which E's of B. I don't know that I would recommend a B because it's going to cost quite a bit of money. I might move that down to a C at least. Because looking at a B looks like it's going to be a fairly easy thing to do. And it would be a fairly easy thing to do if the money was there.
Okay, yeah.
Which line item were you looking, which line item on page?
These are the first two items at the top of page 87, 5A1 and 5A2.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Yeah, I think, well, just to give you a little bit of a window into what I think the thought process there was, ease, I guess a study would be easier than actually putting in the infrastructure, but I can see that it's kind of straddles the B to C. So I certainly think it could be, the cost of that study could certainly make it a C. I agree with you there.
then I only had one other with the action matrix at 7.2 on page 90. It says identify a fire station location on the east side of the district. Would the new fire station, would it be in addition to the new fire station or?
No, that would be the new station,
Okay. So basically that's already been accomplished.
or is in the process
In-
of being
yeah.
accomplished. We have a site plan that's in review right now.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to get clarification.
So there would be no change on that one. It's just a near term. It's almost done.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's all that I had.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
So, first of all, so I was just telling Patrick before this meeting that this is an amazing document. It is extremely helpful. I think as we look at properties that are wanting to be annexed in or change zoning, I mean, this just gives us really clear guidance about what we should be doing. So thank you for this, and I appreciate it. I love the graphics, and I know you've made a lot of changes to the maps, and you've blown things up to make it clearer, and so thank you very much for that. I am not a proofreader at all, but I just noticed something, and Patrick, you have probably already caught this, but on page 4, where it says 2012 Downtown Canyon City Strategic Plan, that paragraph looks like it's maybe missing something, or it doesn't make sense to me, so.
Yeah, Patrick, I can jump in on this
Yeah.
one. I actually happened to catch that today, and I knew you already had the documents printed in front of you. We have the correct text. That was just a little error as we were laying it out in InDesign. So
Yeah.
that will be updated.
Sure. And this is maybe a question for you, Patrick. in here, it refers to Black Hills, you know, as our utility company and Atmos, and just with the conversations that are happening with Black Hills, is it appropriate to keep Black Hills in here? Do we need to change the language, or what are your thoughts? Or
Well, it's sort of a case of a bird in the hand versus two in the bush. Right now, we know that Black Hills Energy is our electrical services provider. That may change at some point in the future, but we don't have access to that knowledge at the moment. And from the statements that Black Hills Energy have publicly made, they're not going away. So we sort of have to default to what we know to be true rather than what may be true at some point in the future.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Sure. Hey, Josh, can I ask you to stop your screen share for a moment? We've got two planning commission members, and I'm wondering if they have any questions. I think Dustin may have had to jump off. He was going to teach a class, but.
Is he highlighting that question on the side?
I think that may be, is that Brian who's highlighting that question? It doesn't look like Brian is connected to audio.
Oh, I do see the question here. I can read it out if you'd like.
For Action Matrix 5A-1, why include at this point? We removed that entire area from the plan scope.
So what he's referring to there is the conduct a feasibility study to determine the cost of infrastructure extension to the 8 Mile Royal Gorge area. I'm sorry, is there an error going on with the? Can you still hear me, Patrick?
I can hear you fine, sure.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think what he's referring to is the 5A1 says conduct a feasibility study to determine the cost of infrastructure extension to the 8 Mile Royal Gorge area. And if I remember correctly, the conversation was about keeping that in there long-term as or not long-term, but as a possible study to determine what it may look like to possibly start to extend infrastructure up toward 8 Mile in the future. So this would be to study it, not necessarily to add that area back into the urban growth boundary.
Brian, does that answer your question? Yes, thanks. Okay.
We might consider changing the priority. Right now, it's showing those as priority 2 and 1. Maybe we reduce that priority down to a 3. Something to think about.
And maybe even the timeline. It says short-term. Maybe we want to just change it to long-term.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got those all noted in my my paper copy here.
Any other comments, questions? Patrick?
I don't have any questions. I'm eager to get feedback from Planning Commission. Obviously, this is a very important document that will be used to guide my decisions on recommendations that will be coming before you in the future on land use applications. So obviously, now is the time to let me know your feedback and your input.
I think it's great. I spent a lot of time on this. My concern is moving forward and how we execute. Been through a lot of plans since I've lived here, and just how do we use this document to gain interest in the community, and how do we use this document to move these plans forward? So
I can give you a brief answer to that, and I believe we've got John Houseel with us. He may have an even better answer than mine. He's been doing this for quite a long time. It is my understanding, for example, if we're going after funding sources for a project that's listed in here, every grant application that the city submits asks the question, is this project consistent with your comprehensive plan? You have to be able to answer yes, and you have to be able to answer yes, that this has been something that your comprehensive plan contemplated, and that comprehensive plan update was relatively recent, usually within the last 5 or 6 years, in order to even potentially be eligible to draw down those grant dollars for whatever the project is. Those grant dollars are one of the resources we can apply to making some of these projects become a reality. When it comes to economic development and bringing new businesses, new employers into this area, one of the things that they're going to want to know is this something that your comprehensive plan targeted? Is this something that your comprehensive plan said, where we're looking to build this is in fact a desirable location according to the community's input in the comprehensive plan? So those are two kind of very important areas where the comprehensive plan document can help us just in terms of its marketing, just in terms of what it tells the outside world about us. And with that, I'll turn this over and see if maybe John has some additional comments on that.
Yeah, no, Patrick's exactly right. It's, everything lives and breathes on the internet, and this is your first foray out there for people who are looking to move to Canyon City, looking to invest in Canyon City, looking to develop, looking to move a company there, a family there, retire there, start a career there. It's the first thing you put out there and the first thing people look at to find out what your aspirations are for Canyon City. It will guide and help prioritize capital improvements and public investment in infrastructure. It will help guide private investment and development funds. It will help to better coordinate regional and state and county planning efforts. And as Patrick said, it is the first step to putting the city in a good position to get federal and state grants for a wide variety of things, whether it be pedestrian improvements, traffic mitigation, environmental sustainability, or wildlife habitat protection, et cetera, et cetera. So it has impact on various and almost all different levels of implementation over the next 10 to 20 years. So it should serve those purposes very well, but you're right. Adopting this is the first step. The real key is how you use it to help implement things going forward. So we think it hits on all those points.
And because it is a policy document, this is one of the reasons why we want to make sure council formally adopts this with the adoption of a resolution, so that becomes part of the policy that the city examines when these questions come up before us in the future.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's not necessarily a question, but it's more of a, I guess maybe it is a question or a statement. Once this is adopted, and I'm like Dee Dee over there, I think it's a great document. And reading through it is just, it's colorful and graphic, and it makes you want to read it. So, I mean, it wasn't dry reading at all. And plus, it's the future of Canyon City. So, again, thank House and all that for what they've done. My concern is, how do we get this out to the public, and how do we let them know that this is what we've done, this is the plan for the future? You said, okay, we can Google this, it's going to be, in the city hall, whatever, but for somebody just walking down the street in Canyon City, how will they know this plan is in place and we do have a future? Is it going to be put on public somewhere?
So we will have public copies here at City Hall. In fact, we can make them available at any city office once we get the bound copies. And we will also make it available as a PDF document on our website. I believe we're also going to be taking some of the recommendations on some of these maps and creating them as sort of layers in GIS, so when someone goes to our GIS maps from our website, they can turn on layers that, respond to questions like priority annexation areas or urban redevelopment areas. Those will be part of what they can look at on our GIS as well. Obviously, when this goes to council, the plan is the night this is going to go to council, we will have a public open house on this plan. We'll have all kinds of boards out here. We'll be discussing it. We'll do something of a media pitch to make sure folks are aware that this open house is happening, and they can come and ask us questions. We'll have both John and Josh coming here in person to present this to council on the 21st. And then that's when we take the resolution to council that evening. And I mean, obviously, we're not assuming that this is something that we've done, invested all this time in completing, and then it's just going to sit in a shelf. we're going to use this for all layer of decisions going forward. So you will be hearing the phrase, the comprehensive plan recommends, a lot over the coming years, because that's how staff is going to be employing this.
That's what I was leading to, because Jerry's saying, okay, what do we do next? I want to make sure that next involves the community, to say that we've done this for the entire year. This is our plan. This is what we want to use. This is what we're doing for you. I want everybody to know that this is a great plan, and I think we ought to stick to it, and we ought to.
One of the things that we will probably be doing once this is adopted is a series of PSA commercials that we can run
Right.
on the city's local access channel, Channel 191, again, to inform the public that this plan is here, that it's available. You can, get to it for free from the city's website, take a look at all of the maps and all of the recommendations, and know this is what the city, on balance, has told us they want to see the city doing in the future.
Right.
Patrick, I think we do at least one more radio spot while we're out there if we can. We've done 3 or 4 so far. I think we got one more in our future.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you said, Commissioner, about it being easy to read and make you want to read it. And that gets at exactly what you were saying, that we don't want this to just sit on a shelf. I think we said something to that extent when we first came out in July, and that these shouldn't be documents that sit on a shelf, and it shouldn't be dry. And some old comprehensive plans, if you go back and look at them, were. And I think that's one of the goals of our firm, is that these are something that people actually want to read.
I do appreciate it, and I think it is a great piece of work, so.
Thank you.
I just had a comment. I agree with what everybody said. It's a very, very good comment, or very good presentation and plan. And what I'm hopeful for is that the administration and council will go, like John had mentioned, will look at this document and they'll start making like a 3 to 5 year plan for spending capital investment, so that everybody is focused and going in the same direction, because there's a limited amount of resources available, but hopefully this plan will be utilized very much in the budgeting process.
Yet, to your point, that's one of the most powerful things. We've worked with cities that, once the comprehensive plan is adopted, have put in place an implementation committee. Sometimes it's the plan commission, but sometimes they'll form a separate committee. And we've even had cities go so far as to create sort of a comprehensive plan checklist form that goes to every department. And when a department is looking for a budgetary expenditure, they have to measure it against the objectives of the comprehensive plan to show how the budget expenditure will further the aspirations and objectives and goals of the comprehensive plan. So this city that I'm referencing uses it as and again, this is how I describe a comprehensive plan. It's a foundation for decision-making, but they've taken it to a whole nother level, and they use it as a filter for all departmental and citywide budgetary requests. It's pretty impressive how quickly they've been able to get things done.
In getting to Randy's point, that might be something that we could utilize to get the public involved with too. If you start talking about in the budget process, according to that master plan, here's what we're trying to go, what direction we're trying to go, and you could just incorporate that as you're talking about budget, and possibly educate the residents a little bit more about what's actually in the plan.
I think as soon as it's adopted, and as soon as we start talking more about it, whether it's on the radio or newspaper or whatever, I think Canyon City will be the model for southern Colorado for what House Levine's done for us. So again, we gotta get it done.
Right.
Thanks, and John, I love that idea of using it as a budget tool. Maybe we can talk to City Council about adopting a plan to incorporate this into decision-making.
That would be very timely. I believe the budgeting process generally starts sometime around late August or early September. So we will have this plan in effect and ready to go when they begin their conversations about budgets for what will be Canyon City's 150th birthday year.
Oh, great. Okay,
Sesquicentennial, correct. Word of the day, sesquicentennial.
anything else? All right.
Well, then with
Thanks.
that, can we have a motion and a second on a recommendation for this plan to council with the noted corrections that you've specified?
So it's just the one motion, correct? Recommendation to
The
city
one
council.
motion and second.
First, thanks, John and Josh, for the presentation tonight and all the work, and your staff. So at this time, I'll
you.
call for a motion. Oh, go ahead. Never mind. I'll call for a motion to recommend approval to city council for the Canyon City Comprehensive Plan, Picture Canyon City 2040. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Denise, please call roll.
And remember,
Commissioner
remember that Brian's going to be writing his answer, not saying it.
Oh, should I amend that to some of the corrections that we talked about?
Yeah, and I tried to frame that in.
Yeah, can we please amend that motion to say with the corrections, or with the recommendations?
I'll make that motion then.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, Denise, please call roll.
Commissioner Suther,
Aye.
Commissioner Clement,
Aye.
Chairman Maloney,
Aye.
and Commissioner Ledoux said aye. And Commissioner Moss is not on anymore. And Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, thanks so much. It's been a great process, and I gotta say, we work with a lot of communities, and the level of input and sort of the approach that you took to getting through this document incrementally has worked incredibly well. And thanks for all your effort and diligence in reviewing every single piece of this. I think the community's hard work really paid off. I think it's a document you should really be proud of. So thanks for all your support.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
And obviously, Planning Commission will be invited to attend the open house that we have on the 21st, if you'd like to see the boards and, if you'd like to comment to the public when they come in and answer, you're more than welcome to.
Is that at 6 PM or is that,
We will be doing the open house. Josh, I believe we decided 3 to 5, was that the time?
Yeah, I think it's 3 to 5, and then the
And then the
meeting will
council
be at
meeting is
6,
at
right?
6.
That's June.
That will be June. That'll be
Okay.
this month, and we'll be doing the open house in this half of the council chambers.
Okay. And of course, you'll email us about that.
Of course.
Of course.
All right, that concludes that public hearing. There's nothing else on the agenda, unless anyone else has anything to say tonight. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Thank you
all.
very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.